Hello and welcome. In this video, we will be learning the major scale pattern saying for guitar. I will be teaching two of the major scale pattern sayings. The first one we will be looking at is highlighted in this orange color. This pattern will work for the low E, A, and D string, providing we have the correct amount of frets and strings surrounding your first note. The blue pattern will only work on the G string, providing we have the correct amount of frets and strings around your first note. For this first example, we will be creating the G major scale. To start off with, we need to find the first note name of the scale and make sure that we have 3 frets lower and 2 strings higher to create the major scale pattern. If we take a look at the fretboard, the G we will be using for this example is on the low string, fret number 3. We have 3 frets lower, as well as 2 strings higher. So this orange major scale pattern will work for the G major scale starting on the low E, fret number 3. We will also need 2 frets higher to complete the orange major scale pattern. Our G major scale consists of 8 notes. We have 1 sharp, which is an F sharp. It is the 7th note. Make sure to check out my other videos to know what the 8 notes are in the G major scale. First, let's start on the root note. In this case, our root note is a G, starting on our low E string, fret number 3. Next, we need to move 3 frets lower and 1 string higher to our A string, fret 0, also called open, note A. Skipping a fret, we land on fret 2 on string A, the note name B. Stepping to the next fret, we land on fret 3 of string A, note C. And again, moving 3 frets lower and 1 string higher. The next fret is fret 0, open, on string D, note D. Skipping a fret to fret 2 on the D string, note E. Skipping another fret to fret 4 on the D string, note F sharp. And finishing off our major scale pattern for the G major scale, we step to the next fret, landing on fret 5, string D, note G. Great! This is our major scale pattern for the G major scale. And if you would like to try it out backwards, make sure to start at number 8 and go to fret number 1. Let's try this out. Starting on our root note, or the last note of the scale, fret 5 on the D string, note G. Stepping backwards to the next fret, fret 4 on your D string, note F sharp. Skipping a fret to fret 2 on the D string, note E. Skipping a fret to fret 0 open on the D string, note D. Now this time, we move 3 frets higher and 1 string lower, landing on fret 3 of our A string, note C. Moving to the next fret, fret 2 on the A string, note B. Skipping a fret to our open position on string A, we land on the note A. Lastly, moving 3 frets higher and 1 string lower, we make it to our last note of the scale, or the first note, fret 3 on your low E, note G. Great! Now that you know the major scale pattern, let's try it on a different string and different fret. Let's go back to our fretboard to make sure that the major scale pattern has enough room to be complete. Let's stick to the G major scale, but this time let's start on fret 5 of the D string. Making sure we have 3 frets lower, 1, 2, 3, 2 frets higher, and also 2 strings higher to complete the G major scale. Make sure to start on your root note, the first note of the scale, G, on fret 5 of the D string. Moving 3 frets lower and 1 string higher, we land on fret 2 of the G string, note A. Skipping a fret to fret 4 of the G string, note B. Stepping to the next fret, fret 5 of the G string, we land on note C. And again, moving 3 frets lower and 1 string higher, we land on fret 2 of the B string, note D. Skipping a fret to fret 4 of the B string, note E. Skipping another fret to fret 6 of the B string, note F sharp. And stepping to our last note, note G, fret 7 of the B string. Excellent! You've now completed the G major scale in a different octave. If you would like to try it in reverse, the steps are in this box here, starting at step 8, moving down in reverse to step number 1. But for now, let's move on to the blue pattern, which only works on the G string. Let's see which fret we would need to start on to create the G major scale pattern. This time, in this blue pattern, we need to find the note name of the scale, which is our G for the G major scale, and we need to make sure we have 2 frets lower and 2 strings higher to complete the major scale pattern starting on a G string. Let's go to our fretboard to see which fret we need to start on. We are unable to start on fret 0 to complete this specific major scale pattern for the G major scale because we do not have 2 frets lower. So let's find the next G on the G string that will work. We need to start on fret 12 of the G string to create the G major pattern. If we start on fret 12, we will need 3 frets higher, fret 13, 14, and 15. Most guitars have this many frets, unlike this fretboard example. Let's go back to our pattern and add in the string names that we will need, as well as the frets. If we start on fret 12, we need 2 frets lower and 3 frets higher. Let's start on our root note, G, on fret 12, G string. This time, we're moving 2 frets lower and 1 string higher. To fret 10 on our B string, note A. Skipping a fret, back to fret 12, but on our B string, note B. Stepping to the next fret, fret 13 on our B string, we land on note C. Moving 2 frets lower and 1 string higher, we land on fret 10 on our high E string, note D. Skipping a fret to fret 12 on our high E string, note E. Again, skipping a fret to fret 14 on our high E string, we have our F sharp. To finish off the blue major scale pattern, on step 8, stepping to the next fret, fret 15, we finish the G major scale on its root note, an octave higher than where we began, note G. Great! Let's try going in reverse. Starting on the root note, fret 15 on our high E string, note G. Stepping to the next fret, fret 14 on the high E string, note F sharp. Skipping a fret to fret 6 of the high E string, note E. Skipping another fret to fret 10 of our high E string, note D. Moving 2 frets higher and 1 string lower, we move to fret 13 of the B string, note C. Stepping to the next fret, fret 12 of the B string, note B. Skipping a fret, we land on fret 10 of the B string, note A. And lastly, moving 2 frets higher and 1 string lower, we make it to our root note, G, on fret 12 of the G string. Well done! You have now completed 2 of the major scale patterns for the guitar. Try these patterns out with different major scales. Make sure that you start on either a low E, A, D, or G string, and make sure to also have enough frets lower and enough frets higher than your root starting note. Happy learning!